I've met most of you know, it's really an honor to welcome you all here to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I have been studying and working on LGBTQ issues for a few years now and have followed many of your amazing efforts and works globally in the States. So actually having everybody here that I admire so and all of us rely upon so is a great honor and really sincerely a highlight of my career. This is very much a strategy session, as you know, and it's very focused on issues of how to provide space for voice for transgender and gender variant and gender non-conforming people in America. But outside of just being a strategy session, I also feel like this is a celebration and it is a joyous networking session of a community that doesn't always have the opportunity to get together and talk about the future and the way moving forward. In many ways, as North Carolina today, we range from darkness and light, from storms and sunshine, and I feel as though all of you around this table have been beacons of light for us in North Carolina and beyond. And in the political scene that we have today, it's really one of the more inspiring moments as you watch politics unfold, the work that all of you do in identity politics and protecting civil and human rights. I'm also pleased to say that this is a meeting that is by majority, almost 60% people who identify as trans and gender variant. I, as the colonial white Englishman, will speak now and then forever hold my peace and sit in the corner and just watch and listen. I say that before Sarah tells me to go and sit in the corner and watch. But I very much see this as a space for the community and especially trans leadership to actually discuss the way forward in the political sphere. We hope to spark a conversation. We hope to begin an embryonic network of people that will grow and grow, that all have a common purpose in mind, which is facilitating voice at the highest levels of government for the transgender, gender variant community. I think as I've become more aware of politics in the trans field, I am very aware of the nature of how a lot of things revolve around erasure. As a cisgendered man, I can see glimpses of these erasure of trans people in all the spheres of our lives and families and societies and workplaces. And if anything, the metaphor of line drawings, little sketches of trans people have appeared over the last few years, but they've been rubbed out, they've been erased very quickly. We've never really had a significant number of fully formed portraits of colourful, in-depth portraits of trans people and their talents, their beauty, their value in society. And so people outside of this room are often disconcerted by gender variance and nonconformity because they have no portraits, they have no real, fully formed drawings of people. And so in some senses, I think this is a meeting where you begin to see the fully formed sketches of trans leaders and their skills and talents. And obviously people like Zachary and Reese have done amazing work in really presenting and portraying to a much larger community the validity, the beauty, the talents, the joy of transgender people in America today. This morning, we're going to focus on what we know about electing trans candidates. This afternoon, we're going to focus on what we need to know. And those are very broad topics, and so this is very much an open-ended discussion. What do we know? We'll begin with the fabulous research that Jamie, that Jody, that Sandy and Zane have worked on about what we know about how transgender people navigate politics today. And then after that, we will hear from some of, if not all of, the most significant candidates today who are experiencing life as running as candidates as trans Americans today. Andrea, Philippe from Minnesota, Minneapolis, and Mel from New York City, and other people who have run in the past, like Danny, and hopefully will run again in the future. Is Danny here?
Right here.
And obviously other people who may take political ways in the future. This afternoon, we'll talk about all those issues about what is needed. What does the community need to do to support trans people of color, marginalized people, different backgrounds of trans people to actually get involved in politics. It's a little bit like a community coming together, protecting the whole. And I wanted to tell you a brief little story. There was a kid in the 60s in Arizona, on the deserty side of town, running through the cacti and the firecracker bushes, looking at lizards, basically living in the desert. And the kid becomes really interested in bees and how the bees work and how the community of bees work together. And then that kid goes on to be in Costa Rica for a while and goes jumping through the volcanic Costa Rican jungle with a mad giant German scientist studying bees and pollinating bees and fertilizing bees and studying how the bee community works. And the community is a very systematic, successful entity of protecting the hive, protecting the whole. When the hive gets too hot, the whole cools the hive down. When the hive is too full, a breakaway group goes away and establishes a new hive. The bees protect the whole in a time of danger and a time of threats. It is a fascinating metaphor for how we, I think, need to protect and come together. And I saw small elements of that even last night. I saw Hayden, and I saw Evan, and I saw Sean. Little acts of protecting the whole, looking out for the whole. And it's a very important thing that I think on a replicated larger scale is the way in which transgender politics can move forward. I really liked this metaphor of the bees. And I thought, well, what would be a nice gift? Because we are the hive, and that little kid is Mel Weinman, the candidate for New York City Council District 6. And so I contacted our local honey producers, which of course, in Carver Chapel Hill, there are local honey producers. And those bees fly within 3 to 5 miles of the hive, so they collect their honey from around here. So I asked, would you produce us jars of Chapel Hill honey for the group? And the guy said, well, you know what's funny? And I explained what this was for. He said, my daughter has just started dating a trans man. And the trans man is about to produce his first batch of honey. And so Taylor is a trans man. I'm like, this is fabulous! Who is writing this narrative? So Taylor Green, who sadly can't be with us today, his first batch of honey from Carver Chapel Hill. We're giving it to you now, and you can take it home with you. And that is our first gift of 3 because we want to celebrate everybody today as well. You'll see, look at the second label, Mel.
You're crazy. Awesome.
Yeah. Wow. If you want to use this for campaign funding in New York City, just sell honey on the streets.
I love you. That's actually it's a great idea. They set up a business called Mel's Meow. Mel's Meow means Mel's honey.
Mel's Meow.
Yeah.
And we, I have a few extra Mels, so you can take
Thank you.
If anyone's allergic to honey, don't tell me.